Here is my Resident Evil horror level template. Here I have made a level here to kind of serve as a tutorial / demo level for a theoretical game. Here the player is confined here in this small area. They can't go back and they can't go to the left. They could only really go towards this light that would guide them towards their flashlight in this dark environment so they can see. You could also see some handgun ammo here they'll pick up, and an enemy here out of their reach. The enemy wouldn't pose a threat to the player because they're separated off, so the enemy wouldn't be able to reach the player, proving no real threat, but the player would naturally see the handgun ammo and go in their inventory and see that they have a handgun, and this would give the opportunity the player to test out their handgun while serving no real threat towards the player at that moment. So they can test out their shooting a little bit and the aiming with the laser and the flashlight to help them see and navigate the environment. When they get closer here, they're kind of led by the light to the door, see an enemy that can actually reach the player, and they will put what they put into practice on this enemy here to get rid of them. And then they would proceed through the door. See, they could go right through the door, and it would show an enemy in the dark they'd have to deal with. And then some pickup items here, some small healing items just in case if they did get hurt by that first enemy or the second enemy they encountered. And here it'll show, because there's no other way to progress, it'll show a ladder right here for the player to progress through with some lighting to show the player that they can use ladders in the future to progress. As the player gets up the ladder, there'll be some enemies here down a hallway here, but they will also see a shotgun right in their view here too. They grab the shotgun and they can equip it, along with some spare shells next to the shotgun here. And this is a perfect example of a good scenario for the shotgun to be used in. It shows the player a little bit more of the game's combat and weapons, along with telling them what weapons are best in what scenario, without directly telling them. And if the player progresses, they'll find more pickups to fill their inventory up with, and some health pickups just in case if the enemies manage to hurt the player in those last segments there. If they proceed forward here, you can see they have a container to open here. They can put items and take them out of that container, but when they try to pick up these items, they'll see that their inventory is currently full. So it would incentivize the player to open this container and maybe deposit some of their items, such as this, in order to pick up more items like that. And it lets them know in the future they can take and put items in. Here, if the player tries to go to the right door, they could see that it's locked. They need something to open the door that they don't have at this moment. But if the player goes towards the left door, they could see it's open, along with more pickups, and they could see through the grates here a new item for the player on the other side there, as well as a ladder. So naturally the player would want to try to go to that new item and get towards that ladder to progress. You could also see a door here, but the player once again needs an item to open the door, leading them down only one route down there. The player would also see an inventory pickup here where it introduces to them to inventory expansions and upgrades in the future. They could see that their inventory has more slots now to hold things. As they progress along, they can fight more enemies, either using their pistol or shotgun. That would both work in this area here. The enemies are kind of used as obstacles and to help the player guide them forward, giving them kind of an incentive to move forward. They are going the correct way. And once the player picks up this weapon and ammo right next to it, they would be incentivized to equip it. because they would want to try out the new item they just obtained while progressing forward. And the perfect opportunity here with another longer hallway with a denser amount of enemies is provided, along with spare ammo on the way just in case if the player misses a lot. So it's the perfect scenario for the player to use their new weapon they've been given, and how it would best function to be used, while not being too blatant about what the player should be doing. Now here, the player would encounter a little area where they drop down and go back up, and they would see that the door is locked. And the only items to interact with this room is a set of keys. Once they pick up these keys, the player will be able to use a key on the door. And once they figure that out, they'll be able to leave this area, and they could see they started right back at this area. And leaving the only other way to go would be here, and take their key they found in that room towards this locked door to use. And here would be the end of the level, where they would transition to either another level or could be the end of a game demo that the player could have ran through. So that is my level design project for the Unreal Resident Evil horror template.